From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine on Wednesday night. I am Ben Hall. Very good show tonight. We're talking all about metro schools, a chance for you to call in with any questions you may have, and we have two people with us who can certainly answer your questions. We have with us Jay Steele, Metro Schools Chief Academic Officer. Thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
And also we are going to learn about English language learners. The Executive Director, the new Executive Director, Kevin Stacy, is here. Thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
Big news though today has been this issue of TCAP scores. I want to talk a little bit about that, then we'll just open up the phone lines, people call in, whatever, talk about English language learners. TCAP scores are being delayed. They're being delayed by the state. What impact will this have for Metro?
Well, it does have a major impact. The TCAP scores are figured into our 3rd through 8th grade students' scores in English, in math, and that does impact because it is a certain percentage of their grades. So since those scores are not coming back on time, then we cannot average the students' grades. So we today asked for a waiver from the state, and that state was granted, just like the surrounding counties, that we figure the students' grades on their 9-week grades and omit the TCAP score from being averaged into their grades. And if we hadn't done that, that means that the teachers would have been gone for summer break, and the grades would have come in, and we would have had to manually configure thousands of students' grades and enter them into the system.
So this affects every system, obviously, across the state. And there's a quote here from Williamson County. The director, the superintendent there, Mike Looney, called it absolutely unacceptable and absurd for us to find out the same day scores were to be back. Yeah. How do you feel about that? It
is disappointing. The students worked so hard, the teachers have worked so hard on preparing for these summative TCAP exams, and not knowing before you leave for the summer break how you did is disappointing. But we are flexible, and we have asked for the waiver, and that has been granted, so we're moving forward, and it will not be calculated into the students' final grades.
And what does that mean as far as maybe students were counting on that, or I don't know, maybe they weren't? I mean, how does that impact the end of the year, the final grade that students are going to get? If it's a 15%, I've read it's 15% of the grade. So that's a large percentage of the grade, and now that's not going to be part of it.
Yes, well, hopefully, yes, you're correct. It is 15% of the grade. Hopefully it won't negatively impact some kids. It's hard to say. I mean, it'll be on a student-by-student basis on how well they've done throughout the year on their regular 9-week grades. 15%, it just depends, and it'll be something that's individualized for each student.
And this will not delay report cards in Metro, is that right? Because you got the waiver, or will it?
At this point, it will not delay the report cards because teachers can now go ahead and figure the grades and get everything into the system before they leave. So right now, the scores that we're waiting on for high schools are the end-of-course exams. Those, the state has told us those scores will be on time, and we will be able to calculate the high school grades using the EOC exam scores. But this only affects grades 3 through 8.
And then lastly on this topic, and other people can call in, where do you go from here? Is there discussion now with the state about maybe what went wrong, or will this be corrected so it doesn't happen again? I mean, what kind of discussion is going on with the state about this?
Well, we just found out within the last 24 hours, so we acted as fast as we could with the state, and we are proud that the state was flexible and granted the waiver, so I do give the state credit for that. I'm sure the state will have to regroup and have discussions, and I'm sure they'll hear from a lot of districts and parents around the state.
I bet they will. All right, well, let's talk about end of the year is coming up. So how much longer is left in Metro schools? What are some of the big issues you are dealing with right now when we're looking at the end of the year?
Well, this has been an incredible year for Metro schools. There's been so many positive this year with President Obama visiting, the White House sending teams here. Arnie Duncan came this week. New pre-K centers, Common Core. I mean, it has been a whirlwind year, but it's been very positive for the school district, and we're so pleased that people around the United States and around the world are recognizing the success that we're having here with the reform that we've implemented. Right now the principals are busy closing down schools. Kids are turning in their books. They're taking their final exams, graduations. I know I'm going to Hillwood's graduation tomorrow night with Brian Williams from another network.
I'll tell you this, and he is from another network, and I think Brian Williams is great. And I saw the video the kids did. It was a great video.
Yeah, I mean the kids are so creative, and I really am proud of the work that they did to get him here. They did their research. They were creative in the approach to reach out to him, and one of the local TV stations helped them do that. So I'm proud of their work, and it is a nice way to pay back to the students for him to come and speak tomorrow night at Hillwood's graduation. So that's a big thing. This is graduation week, all weekend long, all Friday night, all day Saturday, and Sunday. We have graduations at 24 different schools this week. So it is over 6,000 kids graduating, and we're very proud of them and the work that those principals and teachers have done.
And then what happens this summer? Number one, I see that 11 schools are going to have new principals. I mean, what are some of the things that you'll be focusing on when the schools close here?
Yeah, one of the major things that we've done, we have a partnership with Teach for America, TFA, to train teachers in hard areas like science and math and sometimes foreign language, and usually they send their teachers off to train down in, I think, Mississippi or Alabama. I think it's Mississippi and Louisiana, that area. Well, this year we're partnering with TFA to offer a summer school on site where those soon-to-be teachers in our classrooms will have hands-on training with our students. So our students will benefit from that training in elementary, middle, and high school, and those teachers will be learning side by side with professors from Lipscomb and teachers here in our district that are already teaching and learning the craft and getting prepared for this fall. So not only is that a win-win for our students in our city, but also for the teachers that will be in our classrooms in the fall. So we do have summer school going on. We have a lot of students that are coming into summer school at some of our non-traditional programs. We're focusing on seniors who might be short for credit for graduation. So it is a busy summer with kids for enrichment through the mayor's summer program, where kids are getting enrichment and preparing for the ACT and getting ready for college. That program is growing. So just because school ends next week, we continue all through the summer, and we have a virtual school that's 24/7 year-round.
Wow, and that's right, it's next week. It is amazing. Then I want to talk, before we get into the English language learners, there's plenty to talk about there. Construction, new schools, capital budget, building, all of that kind of thing. What kind of activity will be taking place this summer when we're talking about building new schools, money spent for all kinds of things within schools?
Yes.
What are you excited about? What are you maybe concerned about? What's going to be happening?
Well, one of the most things I'm excited about is the renovation of Stratford High School. Those plans were released to the public within the last couple of days, and it is amazing the transformation that's going to take place over the next 2 to 3 years. It is going to take some time. Goodlettsville Middle School will be creating their new building. Antioch Middle School, trying to think, the Jolton Middle School will be in their new building. So there's a lot of excitement around that. I visited Oliver Middle School today and went into their new band rooms that was built, and today was their first day to get in it. And the kids are excited, the teachers are excited. So there's a lot of construction going on in the district to renovate and also to add classrooms, because we are a growing district. We're one of the only urban districts that's still growing. We're not losing kids. We're projected to be over 84,000 next year, and that number is continuing to rise. So new construction is part of what we have to live with for the next few years, and it's a good problem to have.
Well, let's go to Jennifer on line 1. Hello, Jennifer. Jennifer, are you there? Hello, Jennifer? Maybe we'll come back to Jennifer. I think we lost Jennifer. Let's talk about English language learners. Happy to have you here. Kevin Stacy, new in this position. Give us an overview. I mean, what are we talking about as far as the numbers of students that do not speak English as their primary language?
For its percentage, we're talking about 12%.
12% of our 80-something thousand students.
Exactly. So close to 11,000 of our students that we are serving in our classes, helping them prepare linguistically to attack those academic courses so that they can achieve.
And how much of a challenge is that? I mean, we have 12% of our population that doesn't speak English as primary language. I mean, what sort of challenges does that give us?
It's different challenges for different students. We have students coming in from, great communities such as where they have prospered and done really well, you know, and they're literate in their home language. But we also have situations where students are coming from war-torn areas, and that's a very hard challenge to come to a new culture, a new area, and not only deal with having to learn a new culture here, but also deal with the fact of the situation they just left. So that's a very complex question because it ranges from different student to student.
So it's 12% of our students. How many different languages are spoken?
Over 135.
135 different languages. And what is our responsibility as a school system? Is it to speak to them in their language, or is it to teach them English? I guess, how much of a responsibility do we have to speak the language of all 135 students? Do we have that?
Oh, no, and that's impossible. In fact, Tennessee is an English-only state. So our main goal is to make sure that our instruction is provided in English. However, we look at different ways in order to make sure that the best effective strategies happen in the classroom to get them at a proficiency level to make sure that they are achieving in school. The standards of Common Core, TCAP, are still there for English learners just as much as they are for the Gen Ed student as well. So there's lots of stress, pressure on teachers to make sure that a child who comes in at a very low level of English proficiency gets to that level of proficiency where they can perform well. And we have great teachers. Of course, we have amazing students, but they work very hard every day to make sure that these students are getting the right level of English where they can comprehend, and then adding that and then expanding that thinking process in the classroom so that they can go up that ladder to the next proficiency level. So it's a challenge, but we can do it.
I would think it is a challenge, and I would think it is stressful for a teacher if you have a student who really doesn't understand English that well. I don't know how a teacher reaches out and teaches that student. Is that part of what you do? You're going in?
Oh, yes.
And how does that work?
Well,
or say a teacher has 3 students with 3 different languages. You know, how does that work?
Well, first of all, there's training involved. I'll give a little bit of my own experience. When I first started this profession, I went to China to teach English. I had no training at all. Went there, and I feel so sorry for those students when I came back, because I realized just because I speak English doesn't necessarily mean that I can teach English. So those teachers have an understanding of what it means to teach English as a second language. And they pull from those foundational principles of what that means to know that you make sure that the lessons have very good background knowledge so that they're building on the context, that they scaffold that lesson to make it rigorous, that it's comprehensible in a way that they understand at that level of proficiency, again, to build on that. My goal as the executive director is to make sure that we are targeting professional development with our teachers so that they understand those students who come in with a very low proficiency level, so that we can reach them in literacy and also in all the other areas of content as well. So we focus not only on our English language teachers, but also our content teachers as well, to make sure they understand these strategies as, you know, to help our students.
And I want to talk about the ages and a lot more with all that, but we need to take a break. We'll take a break. If you want to call, there's the number 737+, 737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.